Hello everybody, this is another 2024 election prediction, and this one is between Denver Leverett and Donald J. Trump. And this is a fan-requested mistake. The channel Star Years, I'm guessing is how you're supposed to pronounce it. Star Years gave me this suggestion. Now, you probably don't know who Denver Leverett is, and Star Years actually explained to me who he was, and he's actually a very interesting kind of guy. I didn't know anything about him until they told me about him. But Denver Leverett is a cop from southern Indiana, Jefferson County, I do believe. But the thing is, so obviously Denver Leverett is very pro-police, right? He's on the show Cops, and that is how he became well known. But obviously he's very pro-police, much more, putting, anti-Black Lives Matter, right? He is, just pro-police, against defunding the police. That, you get. I don't know why I'm pausing so much. But the thing is about Denver Leverett is that he's very anti-Trump. Not necessarily liberal and progressive. I did a bit of research about him. Couldn't find much, but found some. And he is extremely anti-Trump. He says Trump is an idiot, all that, he says Donald Trump is not the common sense kind of candidate, right? And a lot of people, know that. A lot of Democrats think that. So, and then Donald Trump, of course, being the conservative former president of the United States who would be running for a second term in 2024. Non-consecutive term, I should say. So, Denver Leverett, he's going to be very interesting. And again, he comes from Indiana, so he really will have this big appeal in the Rust Belt. And that might save him just a little bit if he could get elected, but stay tuned to see if he can. So let's get right into it. California and Washington, two states that I would think would be safe. See, this is what's going to hurt Denver Leverett the most, is that he has lost African-American support. We're going to leave Washington as a toss-up. All African-American support is completely gone. And, African-Americans, and really all minorities, I should say, they carry the Democratic Party to victory. They really do. They give they elect Democrats. And that all the African-American support is gone. Because, the vast majority of African-Americans support Black Lives Matter. Denver Leverett is anti-Black Lives Matter. So really, with African-American support gone in states like Washington and Oregon, these are two states that are going to become likely, and that's going to be the same for many of these states. Like Illinois, Chicago, huge African-American population, all gone. Denver Leverett wins it by likely margin. D.C., Maryland, Delaware would probably become likely, New Jersey likely, and I could see, honestly, I could see New Jersey becoming lean. I think it would be pretty close to becoming lean. I think New York would become likely. When you really think about it, I'm thinking about all those African Americans in New York City. There's so many. And it's all going to be gone. But Maine's first really doesn't, Maine doesn't have a huge African American population, so it won't hurt him here. So Maine's first, I think, would be solid. But really, Denver Leverett will have a tough time winning. Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North and South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska large, Nebraska's first, Nebraska's third, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. And honestly, West Virginia will stay solid. I don't think he's going to have enough here to carry or to make it even likely. I think that these would all. And Maine at large would stay likely. But yeah, so these would be all the states for Donald Trump and all the safe states. And look at that. There are 90 safe electoral votes for Denver Leverett and 101 for Donald Trump. Almost always the Republican Party has the advantage because has the electoral advantage because there are just more generally safe and likely Democratic states, but not in this election with Denver Leverett. Moving on. We'll get to Indiana. That's going to be a very close state. And then Alaska would stay likely. And then, Denver Leverett, he's lost. There's a few big states with high African-American populations. Texas, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Michigan. In my mind, these are the, and New York and Illinois, but those are going to stay Democratic. But really, Texas, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Michigan, with the exception of South Carolina, these are all swing, right? So really, South Carolina becomes safe, Florida becomes likely, Georgia becomes likely, North Carolina becomes likely. Texas stays likely. And then Michigan, I will give to Donald Trump by a lead margin just because he comes right down south from Indiana. And he has this Rust Belt appeal here. So I think that Michigan would be lean. But really, those states with African American populations are all gone. Virginia, I would stay. I would actually make it tilt. He doesn't have a huge appeal here. There's a lot of liberal people who won't come out for him because he is very pro-police, but still. Going up to Minnesota, I mean, with the, this is say that strongly supported Black Lives Matter. Remember, this is where George Floyd was killed. This is really where not the beginning of Black Lives Matter started, nowhere close to the beginning, but really the huge riots, or not riots, sorry, the huge protests. I mean, you can think what you want. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be biased or anything. Just disregard what I said. So really, I think that this would be lean Trump. There's going to be a lot of African Americans in the Minneapolis, St. Paul metropolitan area who aren't going to come out for, but it is in the Rust Belt, so I'll make it tilt. But I do think that Trump would still win. I think that, we'll get to a few states because Denver Leverett as the Democratic nominee is going to make it very interesting. States like Georgia and Florida become likely, but I think that we'll get to Ohio and Indiana, those states are going to flip blue. Honestly, they are. But let's get into these other states. I mean, I think Trump would be able to carry the state of New Mexico by a tilt margin. Colorado, not so much. I think it's going to be tilt Leverett. In New Mexico, this is a bit less Democratic than Colorado. But really, I think that in New Mexico, there's enough of a Latino population, and so many of them will stay home for Denver Leverett. I think Donald Trump would get the edge. The same goes for states like Arizona, which I think would be probably I would say likely Trump. And then Nevada, which will be lean Trump. There's so many minorities in these two states, and Denver Leverett will not appeal to any of them, and he will lose a lot of them. I see him losing in Nebraska's 2nd district. Moving up to Maine's 2nd district, I think that this would stay likely for Trump. He did have a strong appeal here, and he won big here in 2020, and it just shows that. But moving on to the state of New Hampshire. I mean, this is a state with not a high African American population at all. Very little minorities here. And I would give it lean for Leverett, because there are liberal people in every state who will refuse to turn out for Denver Leverett. In Iowa, not, he does have some appeal here, but they are strongly behind Trump, and they've shown that. So I think it would be make it lean Trump because he has this Rust Belt appeal. So make it lean, and Trump has claimed victory. But moving on to Indiana, I think that this would go tilt to him, just because he is immensely popular in his home state. And so he is immensely popular in his home state of Indiana. And this is a state that went to Obama in 2008. We have to remember that. So they are capable of voting for a Democrat, and I think that Denver Leverett, because he comes from the state, is this man. He also has a strong appeal in the state of Ohio. I don't see this as a state. I do see this as a state with a lot of conservative Democrats, and Denver Leverett is a conservative Democrat, and I really see them turning out for him. Plus, but most importantly, which would tilt the state to him, is that he has a strong appeal here, and he would flip this state. Moving on to Wisconsin, another state with a low African American population that I think would go to Denver Leverett because he does have this appeal. If the state doesn't have a high minority population, why not? Why can't Denver Leverett claim victory, right? So I think that the state would be tilt. Plus, it is generally a conservative state. Denver Leverett is very moderate to conservative, right? So moving on to Pennsylvania, I really see Trump winning here. There, in every state there are a lot of liberal people who will refuse to turn out for Denver Leverett, and ultimately I do think that it would cost him here. So Donald Trump wins, but it actually wasn't as close as I was expecting. I thought Trump would win in a landslide, but really not so much with the flips of Indiana, Ohio. It's pretty crazy. So he wins with 291 electoral votes. To Denver Leverett's 247. This is closer than the 2020 election and 2016 election. So would you look at that? So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next time.